Hello, everyone. As you guys are jumping in here, excited to see you, and we'll start literally in like 47 seconds. So I'm like to the T here, precise. And we were just chatting before jumping on. Joey was telling us about how he met his wife at his first job at Insight Global in the staffing industry many years ago, and how many people actually met their significant others and lifelong partners in staffing, which is crazy.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's stories about them all the time. Yeah.
I
Tomorrow
know.
is the 13 years of knowing each
That's
other. We took a
impressive.
10-year break. That's like the caveat to all this. Like we
it.
dated when we were 22 and then got rekindled at 33.
It's crazy how you see that all the time. So, yes. Okay, we are exactly on time. So, I am going to kick us off and have some fun here. So, you guys, welcome to webinar 4. Can't believe that we're almost halfway through our series here. But this is part of our 9-part series focused on strategies and technology shaping the future of staffing. For those of you that do not know me, I'm Erin McKenzie, VP of Client Services here at Newberry, and I will be your host for the next 30 minutes. So if you are new, these sessions are here to be educational, God, I can't even speak today, actionable, laser focused. We're really trying to bring you just kind of quick synopsis, things that you can take away from this session. So this is really, truly a great session for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're in the staffing industry, I think you're going to pull something out of it, whether you're an executive, a marketer, a recruiter, operations, there is something here for all of you. So before I truly jump in, I want to just do a quick thank you for all of the incredible technology partners that are truly making this series possible. You guys, we have a technology from every single side of staffing you can absolutely think about. And today we're really going to be focused on one thing that every kind of staffing leader is thinking about, which is the evolving relationship between marketing and sales. And with AI entering the scene, what's changing, what's working, and what new effort is required to drive trust as well as revenue, which we all obviously care about. So joining me today, I've got Jeff Policio, my co-partner in our upcoming podcast, Highly Adaptive, and founder of Allied Insights, which is a marketing agency that specializes in helping staffing firms and staffing technology partners align marketing strategy with truly business outcomes. He also works with us. So very excited about what we've got going on. And I've got Joey Frampus, who is the managing partner of sales at Butler Street. And if you don't know Butler, definitely look them up. This is where he helps staffing leaders elevate performance through sales effectiveness, process alignment, and strategic growth coaching. So super excited here. If you didn't see our title at the very beginning, it is the new revenue engine, how marketing, AI, and sales mastery all come together. So what we're going to chat about is 3 key topics: what's really changed in marketing and sales, what new processes and best practices are emerging, especially with AI, as we all know that's like the main topic across the board, and what new efforts are required to win truly in today's market. So let's kind of begin with the shift here. Like, buyers are more truly informed. Candidates we see are way more skeptical, and AI is truly accelerating like content and outreach. So trust, what we see is probably more harder to earn than we've ever actually seen it before. But what's actually really changed? So Jeff, let me start with you. On the marketing side, what has like changed most dramatically, and what are the biggest challenges that you see firms facing today truly to get attention and generating interest?
Yeah, for sure. So look, there's actually sort of 2 compounding elements that are taking place right now. One, obviously, is the technology side, some changes that are taking place, which I'll share, and the other is human behavior, which is also shifting, and they're both moving in the same direction, which there's usually a lag between. But First and foremost, let's talk about visibility. So we've talked about cookie management for a long time, that websites need to have sort of a consent management capability, probably for the last like 3 or 4 years. But now, like, the chickens have come home to roost, as they say, I guess, right? This is the situation where if you hit certain thresholds, you are now subject to Google's new like consent requirements. And the fail here is that if you do not have your consent management set up properly and connected back into Google, then the traffic just doesn't get recorded on the Google Analytics side, which creates a compounding effect downstream. On top of that, you've got some technology changes. So Google changed a bunch of things from their end, from the algorithm, but also using the AI search summaries. And so, with that said, a lot of information is being answered inside that AI search summary. In fact, I think the last number I saw was 1 in 7 searches result in an AI search summary. But if you then segment that down to just B2B services, like professional service companies like ours, or all of ours, I should say, that number is probably closer to 1 in 3 or 1 in 4. So it now means that your prime real estate isn't the first ad spot, but it's actually getting picked up in the AI search summary. There was also an algorithm change on LinkedIn. I feel like I'm giving all the bad news here. There was an algorithm change on LinkedIn in that it is for a more people-friendly feed. And so that change just took place at the beginning of Q2. And now that you see the data, basically, I'll give you the rounded numbers, but roughly 40% of your feed is made up of people you know. Roughly 30% of your feed is made up of recommendations from LinkedIn. And then you have company profile posts are only getting to about 1 to 2% of their followers. That means that the rest is paid ads. So leveraging your executive profiles will be really smart to do. Changing up your methodology as to how you think about your LinkedIn is also important. And then I'll just end with, let's talk about the human behavior for a minute. Again, I apologize for trying to cram so much in, but on the human behavior side, roughly 70% of searches today result in 0 clicks. And the only things that are going to page 2 is more of like a B2C product search, where you might be searching for the deal of it, but 70% result in 0 search. Viewers are going to Google, they're searching to find the information, and they're capturing it right in that summary. So what does all of this mean? It means that we need to be mindful of how the digital space is changing, how that landscape changed, how behavior is now adjusted as a result of it. And we need to make sure that we are still serving up high levels of expertise in order to be found in those AI search results, and then have meaningful differentiation in our brands so that they know why they should work with us. It's a lot.
A lot of change. And I think that was like a ton of information that I'm sure we're going to have questions on. So you guys feel free to put things into the chat too, because I mean, from consent to really like the algorithm changes to our searches getting actually 0 clicks. So I know we're going to drive through this, but I'm going to switch over. Like, Joey, I mean, you do so much sales performance coaching here as well. So what are like the changes that you've seen in a way that staffing firms truly need to sell today compared to even 2 years ago, 1 year ago, crap, even like 6 months ago? I feel like things have changed.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me, Jeff. Way to kick it off. Way to set me up for success there. So a few things. So you have to understand. So like I'll break it into 2 separate areas. So thinking about how our customers are buying. So if I'm a staffing firm, what's happening with my customer? You see at a macro level the impact that AI is having on hiring. So you have companies like Amazon, JPMC, like the big memo from the CEO from Duolingo that infamously said, hey, if an AI can do it, then you need to prove to me an AI can't do it in order to hire a human. So like that's like number one. Like, what are the hiring and buying tendencies of our customers? That's a massive change that could impact how you operate as a staffing firm. So entry-level jobs at massive risk. For the first time ever, new college grad unemployment is outpacing the actual unemployment of the US by 3%. So if I'm a staffing firm and I'm making my money on entry-level jobs, placing entry-level folks, I need to think of a different strategy because that's severely at risk. So that's really number one, how our customers are buying. So how is that impacting how we are acting as staffing firms? And quite frankly, you just need to put in twice the amount of work for half the result, unfortunately. So the market is still there, right? It's still a $190 billion market, which is outpacing the market pre-COVID. So the market's still there. It's down from 2022, like the best year in staffing ever. It was so much fun for everyone. But yeah,
That was good
it's still,
years then. That
yeah,
was
great
good
year,
for a lot
amazing
of
year. Yeah, it was
people.
great. Yeah. Like I remember being in a staffing firm thinking I was like, we're the best staffing firm ever, only to come out to be a third party and realize that, oh wait, the entire industry was booming. So it was great. So the industry is still there. It's just the reps and the at bats that you need is just different. So for example, getting someone on the phone is exponentially harder than it was 2, 5, 10 years ago. Answer rates are anywhere from 2 to 4%. So I mean, just like the number of calls you need to get to a live person has significantly more difficult to get someone on the phone. So firms and salespeople need to be that much more prepared to add value when they do answer. So I'd say those two things, like the macro environment, how people are buying, and the amount of effort required to get in front of the right buyer are two massive shifts we've seen over the last 24 months.
No, that's huge. And when you like combine that between the sales of what you're saying and where Jeff has like really kind of done some research on the marketing, the algorithms, that side, I mean, the game's changed. I mean, which like drastically over the last little bit, which really kind of leads me into our next section, which is how are truly some of the top firms like adapting their processes to meet the new expectations of truly marketing and sales, and how, let me make sure I can change my screen here. There we go. And how is AI truly like playing a role in everything, really? So when we think about this, like the next session, we want to kind of look at like how are teams truly adapting? Like we've heard the hype, but let's literally chat. And I loved your guys' thoughts here about what's actually working when it comes to new tools, new tactics, better alignment between marketing and sales, which I think is a critical element of this. So Jeff, I'm going to start with you again. Like, what are you seeing? And what are like the best performing firms doing differently, whether it's like content strategy, campaign execution, more integration with the sales team? Like, what are you seeing on your end?
Sure. So I think that the companies that are doing really well today, number one is there's a lot of cross-departmental collaboration. So no more silos, right? I think that historically, staffing has been able to leverage a very classic reactionary sales environment. And they've been able to change, their outcomes for the year by simply, pounding the phone, dial for dollars, like whatever you want to call it. And then, you've been able to almost categorically look at each department and say, okay, what did sales do? What did marketing do? What did this do? What did that do? I think that that time of being able to just push harder in one given department independently, I think is coming to an abrupt halt. I think there needs to be that information sharing between the groups so that way the things that are being created are able to be used as intended, and that you also have feedback loops that are coming back in to inform what other changes you should make. Resetting metrics and KPI expectations. We just talked about an awful lot of data, both with what Joey had offered regarding like on the sales side, and also what I offered with regards to like what's happening on your metrics for your website. It's a time to basically go back through, look at the metrics that you are pulling. Are those metrics still viable? Do they still work for you to be able to determine what your end result outcome is? And then once you have sorted that out, you need to reset your KPI expectations. Like what will each division be able to support? And if we're going to tie this into collaboration, are there any elements where maybe teams should be jointly responsible for some of these metrics?
That's a good call, because I think having that, like you said, cross collaboration is key there.
Yeah. And then the last thing I would just say is, with all of the AI stuff, especially in marketing, like AI runs rampant. And look, I will tell you that I was a bit apprehensive at first. I wanted to make sure that we slow rolled it. I didn't want, generic vanilla information kind of getting sent out. And we are certainly adopting a stronger AI stance today, but I break it down into this sort of perspective. I think you're either going to build C3POs, they're going to bounce around and they'll get things done, but it'll be right a little crunchy.
I love it.
Or you're going to build Iron Man suits. And to me, when you implement AI with a team development concept in mind, not where they can hit a button and it responds to the email and already writes the message for them. It's not that. Like that time efficiency gain is great. Don't get me wrong. It's great. But we want to implement AI that allows our people to continue to evolve and get smarter, not dumber.
Yeah.
And so if we
I'm ready
don't
for my
give them
Iron Woman suit here, Jeff. So let's see what you can do with this.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. But yeah, I think implement AI in a way that is there to develop your team, not necessarily administer the work of your team.
I think that's key. I think that's such an important thing to note and something that's like a really big takeaway. And because AI is literally everywhere we see in everything that we do, like across the board, from children's stories to marketing to sales to anything that you think from the technology side. So like Joey, when you think about these process shifts, like what are you seeing in some of the top performing sales teams? Because you're working with them day in, day out. And how are they integrating tools like AI or automation into their approach that they didn't previously do before?
Yeah. So a few things. Yeah, I actually saw a news story about a AI singer, like an AI country singer. That was the most recent thing. She was actually pretty good. And then Jeff, I'm not gonna lie, I was imagining R2D2 in my head, not C3PO for a second. So really great callback. But no, so Jeff, you said something that I really want to highlight because so there's really the way that we think about AI, and this is how we frame it at Butler Street is, all right, there's AI to run your business, and then there's AI for individual usage. They're two different things. So when you think about AI to run your business, it's like what Aviante and what Bullhorn are doing with AI integration. We were just at Aviante Connect, and the stat was 87% of staffing firms are using AI in recruiting, which was really interesting because the use cases are not so obvious in sales. So when you flip to like the individual use and the idea of using AI to get smarter, not dumber, like every tool probably in the history of man, if you use it the wrong way, it's going to get you the wrong result. So we hear this all the time. We don't like AI because it sounds robotic or it doesn't sound like me. It's like, well, yeah, like you're using quite literally using a robot to do things for you.
Yeah.
So we do have a philosophy where it is very much don't use AI as a tool, use it as a teammate. So like, for example, opposed to saying, write this email for me, you say, hey, I'm writing this email to the owner of a marketing company. Here's my draft. Can you make sure I'm hitting these notes on it? And going more back and forth conversationally, like as if it were literally sitting in your office and like the desk next to you of like, versus, hey, I would never tell someone or a peer of mine to say, write an email for me. I would say, hey, will you look at this and tell me if I'm evoking the right feeling and the right message? So how do you extrapolate that over everything? So it goes to, hey, I'm calling on a CEO of a staffing firm that's down 10% in this economy. They focus on light industrial. What words should I use in my cold call that perk up their ears? So it's more than giving it a command, but think of it as going back and forth. So a good rule of thumb is if you're just telling it to do something and you take that output, you're probably using AI incorrectly. So I will ask it to ask me questions like, hey, this is what I want to do. Ask me questions before giving me an output so you can actually understand what I'm doing. So tying that into what we see with the best firms, best sellers, best individual contributors, I would say it's a little bit of twofold. The one is there is a function of AI to get rid of the non-revenue generating tasks. So your notes that you put into your CRM, right? Like there's no need for you to do that manually. Put your transcript into ChatGPT, have it abbreviated for you and put it into your CRM.
Be smarter. Exactly.
Be smart, right? Exactly. Yeah. So it's eliminating the non-revenue generating activity and then actually using it to get smarter and not just outsourcing things that do require brain power.
You said a couple of key things there. So like the last part for the CRM notes, we all know that, salespeople are always the best at putting their notes into CRM.
Oh, I mean, I've never met a salesperson that I've never met a salesperson that's bad at documentation.
Right?
Ever. Yeah.
So I think that this being able to use these transcripts is huge. This is a huge win for so many, including myself. I was like the worst at putting things into the CRM. So I think that like really drives home on being able to have that transcript, getting the key takeaways, putting it in that can make a major difference, because then it's there, it's follow up, and you can connect your AI tools with your CRM to also have more strategic insights into each kind of client as you're going forward. And then you also mentioned something else. Using it AI as like another person. Like I remember even up to last year, I mean, Katie Cridler, who's our head of marketing here at Newbury, she knows very well where I'm like, can you like just read through this email with me? Like, I need to send this over. Here's who I'm sending it. Can you give me some insights? Does this sound right? Did I hit all the key points? And now she doesn't get those emails from me. I'm very much using AI and saying, does this sound right? Is this the right persona? Like, interview me on these questions. So I'm right there with you. Like, I'm using the exact same thing. So that's huge. Okay, so I have. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's the powerful phrase of act as my sales manager, act as my peer, act as the person receiving this, act as this. So then you truly are getting, you're truly getting the value of it, and you're saving. Think about like, I think about when I was a sales leader in the field. I was being in our Dallas office, and like the amount of time I would spend writing emails back and forth for with salespeople. So it's saving a lot of time.
Yeah, act as. I like it. Mm-hmm. So we're making it be our actors for us. So I love this. Okay, so I've got another question for you guys before we kind of skip to the next section here. But like, where do marketing and sales still get stuck? Like, how are some of the top firms? And I know, Jeff, you mentioned a couple of things about like feedback loops, but where are you seeing like top firms breaking down these silos to really move faster and more effectively in a collaborative manner together? So Joey, let me start with you really quickly. Do you have a few items you can call out that like we can just give some of the folks that are listening in of some key things of like how we can move closer together and stuff like that?
For sales and marketing?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I mean, I think so at Butler Street, this is a good example. Like our marketing reports into me. So it's like when you fall under the same umbrella, and we try to view marketing as essentially a revenue engine for us of what is marketing doing that gets us one yard closer to the end zone. And so whether that is aligning the right campaigns, aligning the right content, aligning the right targets that we're going after, bringing marketing really into the sales fold of, hey, like this is the brand that we want pushed out because these are the conversations that we're having. So like an example would be like if someone from Nike called me, I would have no idea why they're calling, but I would take the call because I know the brand. So I'm like, all right, okay, that feels good. So if you have a good brand out there, the better your brand that your marketing pushes, the easier it is for your salespeople to make connections and make traction with customers.
And good analogy with football season coming upon us.
Saturday, first game.
Yeah,
K-State, Iowa State.
Exactly. And Jeff, I mean, you mentioned earlier like feedback loops. Do you want to like tell the audience here like what some of those things, because I think that's a collaborative effort between marketing and sales and might be a key thing to call out.
Well, Joey just mentioned too, like, communication, right? If marketing is rolling up underneath him, they're talking about what campaigns are going to be drafted that will align with the initiatives that the sales team is going to be performing. So making sure that you have that strong connection between not only the communications, but also the frontline doing is really critical at making sure that those pieces come together. I'll also say, like, there is still a fair amount, and I think it maybe got a little bit worse with AI, but there's a fair amount of still chasing the shiny new object. At the end of the day, there is no easy button. Process and software work because of cultural adoption, not implementation. And so, you have people that are chasing, the latest book that just came out, or, I did this prompt, or whatever it is, especially in the world of AI, like Joey just mentioned, act as. He's basically giving that particular agent that he just opened up a role. And the more that you define what it is you want that thing to do, almost like a job description, the better the outcome is. So if you're going in, opening up a brand new chat and you're just asking it some question, it'll use whatever it's stored as its memory to what it is that you're doing. But if you give it a role, if you give it a responsibility, if you give it a task requirement, if you give it an output expectation, you start actually really driving back, like you start getting really valuable information back in, especially when you're trying to curate or consolidate information down, and then, then you could set it into your brand. But Yeah, I would say be weary of chasing the shiny new object. There is no silver bullet. There is no easy button. It doesn't exist.
I love
The
this because this
best
is like,
implementations come from like
yeah,
your culture.
this is like a really good segue because like really where we were chatting about is we've like looked at what's changed, what's the best practices, what new processes do we need to look at. So now it's really about those new efforts that are required. So new challenges mean new efforts. It's not just about doing truly the same thing faster. It's really about doing different things better, which is what you guys are both describing. So if we talk about like what it takes to truly win today, and Joey, I'm going to start with you kicking it off here. Like, what mindset shift is required from sales leaders and teams and executives to adapt to these like today's market conditions and expectations that you're seeing?
Yeah, so I think the mindset of like what got me here won't get me there.
Yeah.
And so something that, and another phrase in with that same type of notion is can't protect the past while you're inventing the future. So whether we like it or not, the way people are buying is changing, the type of employees we're hiring is changing, the efforts required are changing. I mean, if I tried to do what I did to get successful in 2012, and now it just would never work. I would call the same person like 7 times a day on their desk line, and I would get blocked after 2 calls on their cell phone. So
Yeah.
it's just so like, and so I think just being open to trying to grow a different way and knowing it's okay, knowing it's going to be clunky. So like another phrase you could say like carry a big stick with a loose grip, right? Be open to pivot. So we've had all of these points in time. So whether they be COVID or now it's the introduction of AI, where companies have completely reinvented themselves. I think in 2022, I heard this stat, it was wild. Like 10,000 companies were created as AI companies in 2022.
Wow.
So yeah, I think like being open to knowing that it's going to look different and navigating that gray without a heightened level of anxiety.
Which is good. Like be able to go through the gray. It's okay. So Jeff, what new effort is required from the marketing side? Not just terms of like the output, but really truly in terms of like strategy, collaboration, accountability. What would you say?
So I think that organizations historically, especially any professional services company, you usually leverage the conversation from what is the industry information up to your services as it relates to the community you serve. And I think that the companies that will do better in the future are going to push beyond their services into their expertise. Because there's a lot of conversation starters that occur based on what you know about the industry, what you know about your community's environment. And I think that we need to start conversations in building rapport in that space before we call them up and let them know that we do staffing in this area and we've been around for a while and we're specialists here and we can provide you some really great talent. That call isn't landing. So we need to find better ways of getting involved in our community to educate them and using our expertise to earn trust with them as we build rapport to then talk about our services.
I think that's key. Kate, Jeff, one more question for you, 30 seconds or less. What's the first new effort if you were a staffing firm today, what's the first effort that you would have them prioritize right now for the rest of this quarter?
Okay, so technology is blurring brands, especially when you're using either automation with default messaging or AI and you're not putting in a lot of effort on it. So differentiation is going to become increasingly more important. Redefine your why and regain control over what makes you unique. That would be my absolute number one ask.
That's huge. Joey, let me ask you the same thing. If you were a staffing firm today, what's the one effort you would have them prioritize this quarter from a sales perspective?
I would say invest in your own AI literacy. So how are you using it as an individual? Non-technical jobs requiring AI has gone up 9x in the last 2 years.
Wow.
It's the new Microsoft Word experience. So everyone should be investing in their own AI literacy.
I think those are both key takeaways. So you guys, we've got 2 minutes left. We're almost out of time out here. So before we close, let's do one quick lightning round, which kind of make it fun. So Joey, start with you. Give me one word that captures the future of marketing and sales and staffing.
Teamwork.
Teamwork. I like it. One that's been with us for a very long time, which continues to still be here. So that's great. Jeff, what about you? One word, marketing and staffing. Marketing and sales and staffing.
Collaborative.
I think those two go really well together, and I think that's such an important piece of like where we're going and the evolution. And I think this is like really key takeaways here. So you guys, I want to give a big thank you to both Jeff and Joey for really joining us today. If you do have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I know we have 1 minute left, so I will promise to follow up with all of them. I always do. So you guys have that. You're also going to get an email with all the key takeaways from today. So you'll get kind of a link to everything. Also, next week, we are doing webinar 5, which is with Jason Smith from Toro and Chris Dews from Boosty, where we're going to dive into smarter data, faster hires, less work, and we're truly going to get intimate when it comes to data and automation. So this will be a fun one. And then just really wanted to thank all of our partners for truly making this happen. Joey and Jeff, you guys, thank you. I think this was incredibly insightful. Lots of key things here for everyone. And we will, I'm looking forward to seeing everyone next Tuesday, and we will send all of the insights over. So thanks again for making this happen. And thanks for joining us this morning. Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
so much.
Thanks so much.